I'm excited to have with me on Run With It, a running fitness and health program, Lindsay Housman. She is the founder and CEO of Hettas, a Canadian women's performance footwear company. And I'm so excited to speak with her today because we're going to find out the inspiration behind the running shoe brand. And I'm so excited to speak with you, Lindsay, before we went on air. And congratulations to you.
Thank you.
This is
Thank you.
amazing, amazing for women and the new generation. And can you tell us the inspiration behind creating the shoe brand, Hettas?
Yeah. Um, I mean, at the root of it, the inspiration was really my daughters, and having young girls who are very athletic and heavily involved in sport, and wanting to create a more equitable world for them, both from equipment and policies, training, sponsorships, as they move through their lives. I learned a lot, I would say, between 2018 and 2021, just through a lot of reading around the way the world of professional sports works today and collegiate sports works today, and most training and fueling and coaching really being male based. And then I learned that the shoes that we're wearing to do those things are also very, it's also male based. And it was that final cog that had me come up with the idea that we should be creating women's specific performance athletic footwear, not just for my kids, but for me too. And that's really where Hettas came from, and the name representing both my daughter's names, the product being an adult um, performance running shoe to start, but we plan to be in performance athletic footwear that is female specific and research for women and contributing to that knowledge base, but then really looking at how do we give back to that younger generation and how do we keep girls in sport because it is so impactful for their self-esteem, their leadership, their teamwork, for all these amazing characteristics that you utilize through the rest of your life and your career and your personal life.
Hmm. And was it launched in 2023? Is that correct?
Yes, right near the end, we launched just after Black Friday in 2023, the end of November. And so we've been in market almost for 2 years now.
Hmm. And like, tell us, like, I'd like to go back to the inspiration. When was that pivotal moment and said, "Oh, this is the shoe. There's something wrong." Like, why? It could be you're a runner, right? Like, was that?
I have been. So part of the reason we chose running was it's a category that if you are an athlete, recreational, professional in any sport, you run at some point in your life. Yeah, there were two notable decades in my life when all I did was run. One was in my 20s when I was traveling, and the easiest thing to do is pack running shoes. And it's also, for me, one of the best ways to see cities and new environments. And then when I had twins, can't really schedule anything. So there was a 10-year period where running was my sole fitness focus. My main sports today are skiing and tennis, but supported by all different cardio and exercise endeavors. I started having a lot of foot pain in my early 40s. I'd always had bunions, they'd never bothered me. And all of a sudden, I had gone from being active 5 days a week to really struggling whether I was going to a HIIT class, whether I was walking my dog. Any activity that involved shoes was really painful. And I was complaining to my husband a lot about it at the time, as one does. And we have a colleague that we know through our network who'd been in the athletic shoe industry for over 40 years, has four daughters, two granddaughters, a very athletic wife. Kyle kept saying, "Oh, we'll just have Doug make you a pair of shoes." And I was like, "Well,
Oh,
why is Doug just going to make shoes for me? This doesn't make any sense." And had a conversation with them, and I was like, "Oh, wow, you've been wearing shoes made for men." And that was just for me a mind blown moment where it really bothered me. I got kind of angry. Like, what do you mean that this footwear that I put on my feet for whatever sport that I'm doing, where I'm putting all of this force on my foot, has not considered my anatomy, my hormones, my body has changed much more significantly than my husband's body over the span of my life. And you're telling me that the shoes I'm wearing haven't considered that or been tested on women? And that's where the journey of Hettas really began.
So, I mean, you are award-winning entrepreneur for the innovation, right? Was this 2025, Lindsay?
Yeah, it was
Yes.
BC Business Women of the Year. I was a recipient in the innovator category.
Yeah, so your background, can you tell us about your background and how, like, did you fall into like the shoe category? Like, you have tech experience, I would imagine, like,
Yeah, so my background's largely finance, technology, project management. I've always been involved in businesses and in companies where I've spanned across multiple departments. So, always working with marketing, sales, logistics, but usually from a finance or a technology point of view. So, when we had this idea around shoes, I've always been passionate about gear. So, whatever sport I'm doing, I want to research the gear that I'm using. I want to know how to optimize which ski I'm choosing or which tennis racket I'm choosing. And I hadn't really thought about shoes that much. And I thought, wow, I wonder how many of us are just going and buying shoes, just sort of like picking blindly off the wall, or you get some input from the people at the store, but I'm not putting the same level of research and thought into the footwear I'm choosing, whether it's running, walking, tennis. And that's really where the idea of having a women's performance athletic wear brand where we focus on research, where we focus on knowledge sharing and transparency and elevating that conversation was really appealing to me because I felt it was an industry that lacked transparency.
mm, mm. Yes, and like, and tell us about the benefits of the women's shoe. I know we talked a bit before we went on air, like the high arch, and what else that is different, the gender differences, Lindsay.
So the sad truth is that most of the research that exists out there is not women specific. So there is a very small pool of research that exists that we were able to draw from initially. And now we've been working with Simon Fraser to expand on that body of research. A lot of what is known is anatomical, and women's feet are fundamentally shaped differently than men's feet. And this also changes across different ethnicities. So we know that in North America, from a Caucasian white European descent, that women's feet are more pie shaped than men's feet, that their ratio of their forefoot to their heel is bigger, that their ankle bone sits lower. So a lot of women have rubbing against their ankle bones when they buy shoes because the ankle collar is too high. A lot of their heels slip out and they have to use that extra lace lock and that extra hole because the heel is too wide to hold their foot in place. We know that a women's toes naturally splay more, and that splay increases as you age, particularly if you've had children or you have had bunions. And so having room in that toe box, but also having height in the toe box, because women's big toes tend to curve up a little bit more than men's big toes. And we also tend to keep our toenails longer. So women can get what's called toe bang against the top of the shoe. And then often experience their toes poking through the shoes or creating holes in the front of their shoes. And then to the higher arch, yes, women typically have a higher arch, but they have a smaller instep. So it creates this sort of rounded shape around their midfoot. And so when we designed Hettas, we really placed a lot of attention heel cup, midfoot, toe box. With the midfoot, we really wanted it to fit your foot like a skate so that when you laced that up, your foot was held and you weren't sliding back and forth in that shoe, which is often what happens in other shoe brands.
Oh, it's fascinating research, and SFU is involved, and so like the feedback has been wonderful, right? I'm thinking of, injury free, like, no injuries, but also
You know,
faster times.
yeah, the anecdotal, there, a lot of thought also went into the foams and the plate that we
Mm.
used. We wanted it to be high performance. When we started developing 2023 or 2021, I mean, as of today, carbon plates and high performance footwear are all the rage, and certain types of foam, one in particular called P-backs. And so we really put a lot of thought into, do we believe women need a carbon plate in their shoe? What does that mean from their force profile? With foam, we know P-backs packs out really quickly. Well, that doesn't seem like a great sustainability option. I don't want to be packing out my shoes within 2 months and having to go buy another pair. And so we worked on foams and plates with Simon Fraser through iterative testing based on a female force profile that Simon Fraser had to create because it didn't exist in the public sphere. And then we did a lot of in-person testing as well with the shoes. We had hypothesis around what this would mean from injury reduction or prevention. And the anecdotal feedback has been honestly kind of mind blowing. And just women who pain relief from Achilles injuries in particular, ankle injuries, knee injuries. We designed the plate so that the force of the force on impact would not travel up to your pelvis, which is where most carbon plated shoes, the force travels up your leg. Our shoe, the force will travel to your calf and then it stops. And some things like the force disbursement we've been able to validate with Simon Fraser. Now what we're working on with them is, okay, SFU Run Lab, here are the themes of the other anecdotal evidence that we're hearing around ankles, Achilles, etc. And they're now putting into place research to validate those scientifically as well. Also, so we can understand, is it what we thought that's working, or is it something different? So we know how to apply it to future shoe design.
It's wonderful. And the first model, was it the Alma Cruz? Is that correct?
It's all three. So it's
All
the Alma.
three.
And then we
Yes.
launched with three shoes, which was a bit of a live experiment. We did our final run study. We had three different versions of the shoe, a lot of great feedback on two of them. One of them not great feedback, which we rebuilt. And we thought, you know what, let's put all three into the market. We're in a place where we have low minimums, and let's see what the customer feedback is. And it's been really interesting that people are finding, whether it's preference in firmness, whether it's function, they are finding the shoe that works for them. So we are going to keep those three models moving forward. And then we're introducing next year two new shoe models that will have different uppers, different one no plate, one will have a half plate. So you still get that benefit of the force dispersion, but it'll be softer in the forefoot. We're going to have them at different price points than the current shoe. So it's a bit more accessible to everyone in the market.
Oh, it's so exciting, so innovative, and congratulations, and Lindsay. And where can people find out more information? Where can they buy a pair of shoes?
Yeah. So we're I guess in a good situation where we're running low on stock right now. So we do sell at stores in Canada and the US, and we keep the list updated on our website. As our stock has been running lower, it'll be a bit longer in Vancouver in particular to find locations to try on shoes. But you can always order online, and we have a 90-day free trial, a free returns, free exchanges. We want to make it as easy as possible. We sell in Alberta in 2 locations, in Ontario in 2 locations, and we sell in San Francisco in 3 locations. So the list is on our website, and we also sell on Altitude Sports. So if you can't find your size on our website, you can also check it on Altitude Sports. If you can't find what you want, you can send customer service a note, and we're keeping a list of people who are looking for a restock, which will be in February. And we'll be reaching out to them both through our standard email list as well as personal emails if you've reached out to customer support.
That's wonderful. And Lindsay, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think it's really important to know that behind Hettas, a lot of the work we're doing with the shoe is super important, and building equipment for women that is built for women is foundational, I think, in sport. We're doing a lot of work outside of the shoe through our mission pillars of impact programming, community, and research. And so when you're supporting Hettas, whether it's through liking our posts, following us, telling your friend, buying the shoe, it's not just about the shoes, it's about supporting keeping girls in sport, supporting gender equity in sport, supporting community events where we can have conversations with pelvic health specialists and functional movement specialists and nutritionists that are tailored to women, and supporting research into women biomechanics and hormones with Simon Fraser. So the shoe is central, and I like to say the shoe is the vehicle to do all the other work that I think is really important.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Christine. It was an honor.